what a wonderful way to look at life and to find something in what we've done to still take some pride in it. Well, we're lucky this SR-71 Blackbird. This guy, Mr. Lawrence Small, who was secretary of the Smithsonian Museums, plural, there were 14 of them. He was the secretary of all 14. There's only one of them is the Air and Space Museum, but there's 13 others under that caveat of the Smithsonian Museums. He, as secretary, wrote an article that appeared in the Smithsonian magazine a number of years ago, and he referred to the SR-71 as a rare bird. And again, I'm not going to bother you or bore you with the text of that, but in an interview at one point, he made the statement that there were 14 million artifacts under his jurisdiction as the secretary of the Smithsonian Museums. And in his opinion, the two most important ones were the desk that he used, because it had once been used by Thomas Jefferson, and the SR-71. And 14 million, he put it one of the two most important. I'm not sure that I would agree with him to go quite that high, but it is a rare bird. It's a very unique airplane, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we get going here. There were 32 SR-71s that were built. Of those, 30 were what we call A models, or the operational aircraft. You can see in the back seat there's just that little side window. The guy back there has no flight controls or forward visibility, and he's running the radars and the cameras and the sensors that are back there. Two airplanes were what we call B models, or trainers. This airplane, you can see, has forward visibility. It's a raised rear cockpit for an instructor to sit behind. Here's a little better perspective of what it looks like. And there's one of these trainers up at Hill, which is called the C model. This was not in the original build, the contract between Lockheed and the Air Force. One of the B models was lost to an accident fairly early on in the program. And so there was concern that if they lost the other B model, then they'd be out of business. They couldn't train new pilots, they couldn't get check rides to the old guys. And so Lockheed and the Air Force went back together, and they took some kind of whole bunch of spare parts from different airplanes and did some fabricating and created this airplane that's up at Hill. So it's a one of a kind called the C model, and it's worth coming to see if you haven't seen it. The airplane has a nickname called the Habu. I don't know if any of you have heard that. Does anybody know what Habu is? We get to wear this patch on our shoulders after we had flown our first operational mission. The first time I saw that patch, I thought it stood for high altitude bombing. A friend of mine was wearing it, but I thought, they don't carry weapons. That's not it. So it doesn't go well. What in the world does that stand for? Well, here's the real Habu, or the original Habu. It's a member of the Viper family, a snake that was indigenous to the island of Okinawa. And when the SR-71, actually the A-12 was the first airplane that flew in Okinawa that was one of the Blackbirds. The natives would look up and they'd see this airplane with this long, skinny black nose out there, and they thought it reminded them of their snake, and so they'd go on and say Habu. And so it kind of stuck, and that became the unofficial nickname of the airplane.